All I'm gonna do is just do it, get it done, till it's done, then I'm done. All I'm gonna do is just do it, get it done, till it's done, then I'm done. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Major. I'm the host of the Majoration Podcast. We bring you things inspirational, aspirational, and motivational stories. Take you on a journey through other people's expertise and some of the things that they've lived through and some of the things they've accomplished, where people share their obstacles and also their opportunities. Today, we have an amazing guest on. Today, we have Siloh. He's doing some amazing things in the community. And as always, we're trying to bridge the gap between information and also creativity and just highlight those that are doing impactful work, not only just for them to talk about themselves, but hopefully it's something that you can relate to and attach yourself to and help them out on their journey in life. So without further ado, Siloh, welcome to the Majoration Podcast.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. So I want to get right into it, man. You're doing a lot of exciting things that I personally align with and also relate to as far as the community aspect of it, the philanthropic aspect of it, and even more so the heart and passion aspect of it as well. So looking at some of the YouTube videos and just, kind of going through some of the bio structure of what you're doing, although I've read it, give me like a 2-minute breakdown in regards to the journey of where you were and how you got to the place where you are now doing the type of impact work that you're doing.
Yeah, 2-minute overview. A couple of years ago, I myself was homeless here in Vegas. I was, you know, wasn't sleeping on couches because I didn't have a couch or any friends that let me, live on theirs. Wasn't living out of my car because I didn't have one when it got repoed. So I was, living in abandoned buildings and eating food wherever I could find it. Right. Got back on my feet just by having someone believe in me before I believed in myself. And the second I got back on my feet, which is basically a roof over my head, a little bit of food in the fridge, and a door that I can lock and unlock at any time for safety. I went right back into the community and started serving those who are less fortunate, people who are still in the position I was just in. And we started serving fresh food, clothing, hygiene, haircuts, hugs, love, you name it. And we do it every single week. So we've never taken a week off, even if it's a holiday week, even if it's raining, it's too hot outside, we're outside serving.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Major here. Real quick, I know you are enjoying the episode as much as I am enjoying the episode as well, but I want to tell you real quickly about this sweater that I have on. This sweater is significant because I made my first $1 million with this clothing line, Lord Major Apparel. Now, beyond that, I want to give that opportunity for others who have brands out there. So the next sweater I wear on the next episode could be your brand across here. So if you have a brand, or a product, even a product, reach out to us, comment below, or send us an email at themajorationpodcast@gmail.com. All right. Now back to the episode. No, I love that. So was there a moment over the period of time when you were homeless? Was there a specific moment where you made a commitment? Was like, once I get out of this, or if I get out of this predicament, I'm going to come back and contribute to this community that I'm a part of now in regards to the homeless community?
Yeah, it's funny. It never crossed my mind. I came across getting involved in the community by accident. Like I was on Facebook and I was just like, scrolling. And a friend of mine had posted that she had made a bunch of cupcakes and she was going down into the homeless corridor to serve those who are less fortunate. And I saw the post and I stopped my scrolling and I was like, I immediately DM'd her. I'm like, where are you going? What time? Who's going? Like, it's just like all over her, right? She's like, calm down, calm down. But here's the time, here's the place. Just be there. Bring whatever you can to serve. And I was like, awesome. So I went down there and served. And the reason I continued to serve and we continue to serve today is because I went down to that first serving. In my mind, I was completely unprepared. I went down there with a pot of spaghetti. With that pot of spaghetti, I served 30 people. Right now, that what really kind of drove me to continue to do this is that, as great as that sound, it kind of like pissed me off because even though I served 30, there was like 45 in line.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, how did I not know to bring enough for 45? I couldn't have known, but that was the conversation in my head. So the very next Monday, I went back. I had 2 pots of spaghetti. This time I was able to serve everyone. And then I just went home and I told somebody what I did. And the following Monday, they came with me. And they went home and told somebody what we did. And they brought somebody back for them. And it just started to grow and grow and grow. Right. So here we are. A few years later, 135 people work with me directly. We've made massive impacts in the community doing impact drives. We sponsored an entire school, elementary school, with backpacks, scissors, glue, tape, paper. We sponsor families for Christmas holidays that can't afford Christmas. I mean, we do so much in the community, and it all started with that pot of spaghetti and being pissed that I didn't have enough food to serve 45 people.
No, it's such a great story because I'm always intrigued by those moments, right? When we have that breakthrough or we have that ideal. And for me, being in philanthropy very heavy over the last 15 years and having a nonprofit, we do some of the similar things that you do, but we work heavily with kids and homeless veterans. And for me, it was, when I was 14 years old, was a moment I remember beyond growing up in a house of servitude with my mother, feeding homelessness and people in the community. So it was kind of like as a byproduct, I already had that gene, right? But for you, what is it for someone? Because there's a stigma that's attached to homelessness sometimes, right? And people don't know how to get involved or what it takes to be involved, but more importantly, they don't know the benefit of getting involved, right? Like the feeling and the being of service. Can you kind of really speak to that for the ones who are kind of reserved and want to figure out how they can be involved, or they don't think it's enough, right? They may have like a six pack of socks and that's all they have, but because that's all they have, they won't do it. They feel embarrassed or ashamed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And I think that's like the biggest misconception is that you have to have a lot to give, and you really don't. Like giving itself is is how do I say this? The give itself is more important than what you're giving and how much you're giving. Right. So I put it this way. I said we're people powered, right? We get corporations and companies and even individuals that come to us all the time. They're like, we love what you're doing. Can we cut a check? Like, how much money do you need? Here, we'll give you whatever you need, whatever that looks like financially. We're known for telling them no, like, keep your money. We don't want it, right? We go, if you really want to make an impact, come down, join us, bring somebody, bring a friend, bring a coworker, right? Bring your employees. Like that's how we make an impact in the community, and that's what we expect from them, right? And going back to your question, it doesn't take a lot to give. It's just being there to give. We have people that come to our events all the time and they come empty handed, and that's okay, right? But they're there. They're there to
Right.
lend an ear. They're there to lend a shoulder to cry on. They're there to lend a hug to someone who needs. You don't necessarily have to give socks or water or anything like that. And just being there and being a shoulder for someone to lean on, talk to, an ear, right? Is usually bigger than what you could ever give,
Right.
product wise.
Right.
Right.
So when you're out, basically boots on the ground, have you had anyone like reoccurring people or stories of someone coming up, just kind of sharing with you the the impact that you've had on them on a particular day or their life because of what you and your team are doing out there in the streets?
Oh yeah, I mean we've got stories all day long, right? So, and that's the best part, right? This is the best part to know we were part of that journey with the person, right?
Right.
So we've got people who we've served in line, and you know, 6 months later, now they're on the other side of the table serving those who are currently less fortunate, right? And because we came around them, we hustled, we got together, we huddled around them as well, and we said, hey, listen, um, let me preface and let me kind of frame it this way. So we do, yes, food, clothing, hygiene, haircuts, hugs, love, right? We do all of that really good stuff, but that stuff is just on the surface. That's surface level stuff. We know that once their bellies are full and once they got a clean shirt on their back, now it's a good time for a real conversation, right? You can't have that conversation when someone's starving. You can't have that kind of conversation when they're wearing the same shirt they've been wearing for 6 years, right? Holes in it, it's torn in it, it's dirty, it's ripped, right? But you can when they have a clean shirt on, and you can once their stomachs are full. So when they get to that point, that's when my team knows now it's time to huddle around this person and go, now that you're full, now that you got a clean shirt on your back, now what do you need?
Right, right. And I think that's a great approach. I actually use that very same psychological approach. We give away sneakers to kids in need and also do shoe drives for homeless veterans across the state of California. And that's actually what changed my life when I was 14 years old. An NBA player by the name of Larry Johnson that played at UNLV in Vegas.
Nice.
Um, he's from my hometown in South Dallas. He actually came back to the projects just randomly. We were all out on the court playing next to the recreation center. I have holes all in my shoes, by the way. And they had like this little meeting inside the recreation center, and it was police officers, mentors and like counselors that were all there. And they gave us all brand new sneakers. And I was just so blown away that someone that doesn't know me, that really just made me level up, because I'm sure you know how this is. When you get a new pair of shoes or a haircut, when you're a kid, you feel
Yeah.
like you could do anything in the whole world. But because of that feeling, it's the same thing you said, when the bellies are full. Just because of that admiration, I was able to sit there and listen to the cops speak about drugs and staying out of crime and the importance of going to school and getting an education. And that stuck with me. That particular day made me want to see beyond my neighborhood and my community, because of how they were able to articulate what it would mean for me if I didn't get myself self together, right? And amongst all the ones that were there, not everyone listened to that message. And I'm glad that it resonated with me during that time. But they had me, like you said, they had me at that moment where I was appreciative, similar to having a full belly. When selecting teams, in philanthropy, you go through different teams from a volunteer standpoint. But when you're building a true company or an organization, it's imperative to have really good people that kind of match your enthusiasm, your heart, and your integrity. How has that process been for you, not being in this at this scale before? I don't think, right? How has that
Right.
been, managing and showing discernment on who you bring into the fold to continue to do the good that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, right? Because you got to level it up. Like, if you really want to double your impact, you got to double what you're doing. And the only way to do that is to bring other people on, right? So for us, it's been a very fine line of walking, you know, the organic feel of what we do with kind of like the corporate kind of backing of structure. And that's really the fine line, because if you go too organic, you're not structured. If you go too structured, now you're corporate, right? And so you've got to walk that fine line. And the way that you do that is just bring on people who think, walk, talk, and act like you, right? So we do everything around love. We say love is, the source of all of our energy. It's the source of what we do. We call those who are less fortunate future friends. So we don't even call them homeless. We don't call them, we say future friends. We're going to go serve our future friends, right? And that's the way that we approach serving. And that's a kind of mentality and that a person needs if they're going to come on board with us. So that's the first thing we look for. When we sit down and we interview someone to work with us, number one, they have to have been with us at least 5 times in a row, 5 different events serving, before we can consider them coming onto the team, right? If we sit down with them, we go, okay, great. Tell us about like why you do this. Like, what's the impact? Like, what are you looking to get out of this? And we watch for certain verbiage. If they say homeless, if they say this or that, we go, okay, that's cool. We'll get back to you. But if they use our verbiage like future friends, we're okay, we have something here. And when we were 10, 10 volunteers, like consistently working directly with me. And I mean by working with me, we like work together every day. We're always planning the next event. We're always planning the next give, right? When we were 10, it was really cool. It was like a family environment, right? Like really great friends, family environment. When we went to 49 people working directly with us, the dynamic kind of shifted to where it started to bring in, which I had to immediately correct, but it started to bring in kind of like jealousy almost. Like people were like, well, why are you giving this person so much time? I don't get enough time. It was super weird, that kind of transition. And so, you know, I, I basically was like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to change our mentality. We're going to change our approach. We're going to keep our verbiage. We're going to keep what we stand for. But now we need to add structure, and I need to add kind of like lieutenants, and those lieutenants need lieutenants, and all the way down, right? So no one feels like I'm just giving all of my time to one person or playing favorites. And doing that and getting really structured and organized allowed our events to get really structured and organized, because now I'm not doing everything myself. I got someone running food, I got a general running clothing, I've got another general running haircuts, right? And if anyone needs anyone, they go to those generals, right? And if the organization needs anything, they come to me, whether it's a new corporate sponsor, new donors, or if they want to plan another event. The organization is a big deal. It's really, really big deal, internally and externally. People come to our gives and they're like, this is the most organized give we've ever seen. We hear it all the time, right?
Yeah, that's
And
fantastic.
that organization comes down to the fact that we really respect those who we serve, why we call them future friends. And in order for us to have that level of respect, we need to be organized to make sure that we're making an impact in every single person who's in line, to get more people to switch and come to the other side of the table, to get more people housed, more people in jobs, more people starting businesses, right? And this has all happened. Reuniting with their friends and family who they haven't spoken to in years because they've been on the streets. So it's that level of respect that we put into everything that makes sure that we are organized, to make sure we're making our impact, to make sure that the people that we hire and bring on have the same mentality, because it's all aligned with that same level of respect.
So
I don't know if that answers your question, but I think it did.
no, I think that was great. I think it goes to the next question though. So in regards to the things that you're doing, managing personnel, managing and delegating with volunteers, and also an organization, which obviously I can relate to. How does it work for you individually on the mental aspect of it? And before you were homeless, did you have characteristics of being able to manage an organization the way that you're doing it now?
I've always been in some type of management even before homelessness. And I used to run call centers, right?
Okay.
So I already had that kind of level of, I don't even want to call it sophistication, because I'm growing and learning more every day, but I've always run small teams, 17, 20, 30 max. Never ran an organization with 140 plus, right? So a whole new skill set had to be learned once I toppled into that 49. I remember saying that 49 was kind of like, yeah, like that was a whole new skill set I had to learn, like people management, accountability, not only just for them, but for myself, right? I had to become, I had to learn corporate lingo from all of our corporate sponsors. Like we have Starbucks, we have Einstein Bagels, we have like all these massive companies, Coca-Cola. So I couldn't be the guy on the phone talking like, yo, what's going on? What's up? Like it was a whole skill set I had to learn to be able to deal with people at that level, right? But at the same time, I also had to have the skill to be able to take what that relationship with them and turn it into something with our organization, and then hand it to our people, so our people can go out and make the impacts that they want to make, right? So organization, learning about tools, learning about little stuff like copy, email marketing, social media marketing, like a whole bunch of skills that I had to learn, right? But again, it comes down to our why. And our why is because we know that for every 20 or 30 people we serve in line, there's going to be one person who's going to be on the other side of the table next week.
Right, right. No, absolutely. I think it's a great philosophy and also a perspective that could be shared with other organizations to have that kind of intention and empathy behind, the foundation of what they represent. One other question popped to my mind. In your development phase of past 49, right? Did you have any mentors or did you have any YouTube university moments, or like what did you do to kind of cultivate it, or did you just do it all within yourself? Like how did you grow and expand? Because it was hard for me to grow because I didn't know what I didn't know, so I had to go get it from different places and mentors and YouTube and workshops and stuff like that to build my empire. Like, so how was it for you during those moments?
I did a little bit of both, right? So I did, with mentors, and also what really helped was going out to other organizations and volunteering with them to see how they do things, and then asking, oh, I like that, I'm going to use that. I like that, I'm going to take that. Ooh, don't like that, I'm never going to do that, right? And then bringing it back to my organization and implementing it. So number one, first thing I would do is I would go out and just volunteer for other organizations that are much larger than yours, right? So I went out and volunteered for the United Way. I went out and did Habitat for Humanity. And I watched the entire time while I was there giving. How did they do things? How did they communicate? Who's here? What type of people are here? Like, who are their corporate sponsors? Like, I watched it all, right? So
Right.
mental notes. And then when I was done doing that, kind of like my we call it my touring season, right? So I was touring all these nonprofits that are much larger than I am, but were, on the path of where I want to go, right? So after I did that, took some mental notes, what they did, what I liked, what they did that I didn't like, and I brought them back to my organization, implemented them, and then do it to our team. The second thing I did was I went out and got a mentor. Now, this mentor does exactly what I do. He just does it on a bigger scale, right? In business, we'd be competitors, but in giving, like it's all one love, right?
Right.
So he brought me on. I was completely honest and transparent with him. I'm like, hey, here, I'm just here to like learn from you. Anything that you know, I want to be where you're at. I want to get to that level. Anything that you know, I'd be more than happy to like take in and run with it and then give you all the respects when needed. Right. And he was like, cool. So he brought me on board. He taught me everything he knew. And I was like, cool. Took that, brought it back to my organization, gave it to my team, and then allowed us to grow. Right. Now, the combination of both of these led us to where we are today, where we're just a few years in, and we've already served over 175,000 in our community for free. All the clothing that we give out comes from our own personal closets. All the hygiene products that we give out come from our own personal bathrooms, right? So that's a lot of giving, a lot of food being served from people in the community who brought down a ditch to serve. Right?
And I love the fact that whoever it was that worked with you allowed you to come alongside them and then really see you as competition because it's kind of fair game when it comes to giving. What I've experienced in the other stories I've heard in the past, especially when looking for mentors, obviously I'm in California and everyone monetizes everything, right? And so it's a little difficult what I've heard from other people to get next to certain people who have certain success with these nonprofits and organizations. So I commend whoever it was who allowed you to come in and gain that experience and gain that knowledge. I most recently had an opportunity to do that with the nonprofit the last 2 years during Christmas because I give away 1,000 pair of sneakers every year through my nonprofit. But specifically, the last 2 years, I amped it up and scaled it and said, you know what? Not only am I going to give away 1,000 pair of sneakers, I'm going to do it also in the month of December. I want to give away 1,000 pair in December alone. So year before last, I did 642 pairs of sneakers. So I came up short, but it
Nice.
was still 642. This year we did 717 pair of sneakers. These are all brand new, top of the line Air Forces, Jordans, Air Maxes. So, because I'm a fan like that. I got 5,000 pair of sneakers, and that's how it all started for me. Some years ago, NFL buddy of mine saw me giving away shoes like 15 years ago or 10 years ago, Instagram. He was like, you should create a nonprofit. But the problem was I wanted to impact kids because I worked with kids for 4 years in group homes very early on, around 2001 to 2004. But kids don't wear 12s and 13s, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I would put the shoes on like eBay, sell the shoes, use that cash to go and buy shoes for parents who kids needed sneakers. That's kind of like how that was
Nice.
all came together. But I guess so for me also, think of the podcast I just started 4 months ago, but it's allowed me to connect with a lot of influential people that are doing a lot of positive things in the world, successful. So someone like yourself, now that I have you and I have your email, I'm gonna be knocking on your email. It's like, hey, asking questions, and also vice versa. It's an opportunity to tap into some of the things I've done well is also but I just think it's a great thing to have those mentors, the people who are just open to kind of share that information. So when it comes to collaborations, how does that work with you? Are you open to that? Are you open to other individuals to be ambitious like you were early on and want to learn and just kind of soak in the organizational aspect of it so they can grow also?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We and cooperation and connecting with others is how you get things done, right? Like for us, we're food, clothing, hygiene, haircuts, and hugs and love.
Yeah.
That's it, right? We have partners in place who come in and they're really great at what they do. We're great at what we do. So when we have someone in line who's dealing with, mental challenges, we know exactly where to send. Because our friend over here, that's all they do is mental challenges, right? Helping people get through that. When we have someone who's in line who's facing drug challenges, we know exactly where to send them because we have
Right.
a friend over here. And that's all they do is help people through their drug challenges, right? We don't try to be everything to everyone. We are just food, clothing, hygiene, haircuts, and love. We're like the
Right.
net. We're
Right.
like the big net, right? In
Right.
the ocean. We're like scooping up all the fish. And then we go, okay, fishy, you go over there, you go over there. And of
We're,
course,
we're the same way. Even when we're fundraising, I raise money, I buy shoes, I get those shoes away, and then we rinse and repeat. That's very simplistic in regards to what we do. So I think this is great, man. I was looking at some of the highlights. Special congressional recognition by the United States Congress. That's amazing. Awarded Las Vegas Top 100 Men of the Year 3 years in running. Awarded Esquire Magazine Top 40 under 40. Las Vegas Hometown Hero twice, and recognized by Future Sharks Inc. And Entrepreneur Magazine. Those are all great feats. So during those moments when those milestones are hit, knowing where you come from, are they many celebrations still take place, or are you too busy to kind of get in those moments?
I appreciate every single moment, right? So, and and what I like to say is that those acknowledgements, those awards, are essentially just the rest of the world finally catching up to what we're doing, right?
Yeah,
Whether the awards are there or not, like it's just recognition that the rest of the world is now starting to catch up, right?
yeah.
And yeah, we're still going to do what we do. The awards are great. I appreciate every single one of them, but whether they're there or not, we'd still be going out doing it with the impact that we're making, and I'd still be doing it, whether
That's
again if I
fantastic.
had those awards or not.
I guess one of the last questions or two that I have for you. When I was watching the video on YouTube and you were doing like a makeover for, I guess he was a veteran, I believe,
Yeah,
homeless.
for Tony.
Yeah, and those type of moments, I just believe need to be just highlighted more and more. Especially when it comes to veterans, I got a soft spot in my heart for veterans because when someone goes off to fight and protect your life, like it just means a lot to me, right?
Mhm.
And just to see his it was interesting because I seen his appreciation and his thanks, but then you seen this swell just happens because it took him a second, it felt like, to process what was going on. I think he thought you guys took him to the wrong trailer or something at first.
Yeah.
but but then you seen this swell of appreciation. It was just so emotional, and I showed it to my wife, and she was just like, "Oh my gosh, that is so amazing." And that not even knowing you, that's made me appreciate you because, like I said, I just have a heart for service and philanthropy. Um, and I just want to, even just on the record, off the record, let you know that we're going to continue to pray for you, your team, and also your organization for immense success, so you can continue to do the good that you're doing. Because we really just think this it's an amazing organization. It's an amazing cause. You got a great story, man. So I can't wait to share with others. And if you could just kind of share, lastly, like where people can find you, some of the projects you guys are working on, or how people can volunteer and participate in helping you guys grow.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me anywhere on social, Facebook, Instagram, etc. LinkedIn, it's Silo, Siloh, Moses, Moses. As far as what we're doing this year, we're doing a really big event the day after Christmas this year. We're calling it Second Chance Holiday Bash, and it's going to be a huge community event where we're bringing in all of our corporate sponsors, every single volunteer. We're looking to have roughly 800 to 900 volunteers. It's going to be a full day of giving. Santa's going to be there, fire truck. We're going to be handing out gifts to families that are and those who are less fortunate, right? So anyone who's unemployed, underemployed, which is huge, right? Single mom, single dad, 3 kids in a household, still can't keep food in the fridge, right? And people who are less fortunate or future friends. So it's a full day of giving with toys, Santa, song, music, volunteering, of course, food, clothing, hygiene, haircut, and love. So anyone who wants to get involved, reach out to me. We would love to have you on board, either as a corporate sponsor or just to come down with a big food and friends and family to give back. So if you're in Las Vegas and you're local, or you're going to be here around the holidays this year, feel free to reach out to me and we'll get you involved.
No, that's fantastic, man. I think that we want to come out and volunteer also, man. I'm gonna bring my family. My sons are very philanthropic, and we're always working with different organizations. And if you have us, we'll definitely like to make a trip and just be a part of one of the events and just kind of come soak it up, but also just be of service. We're always about that, and just put together a nice collaboration and just be a part of the moment, man. We really appreciate everything you guys are doing. And thank you so much for joining the podcast. And I definitely get you guys over some clips and so we can continue to share and let people know what you're doing out there in Vegas, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be in touch and we'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, Williams, I see you. Major Williams, I see you, man.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Take care. All I'm gonna do is just do it, get it done, till it's done, then I'm done. All I'm gonna do is just do it, get it done, till it's done, then I'm done.